guys, welcome back to the Pruning Podcast. I'm your host, Ataya Smith, and I'm so excited. Happy Tuesday. I'm just so excited for this episode. As we're continuing our series, Single, Dating, Engaged, Married, we're now on the Engaged segment, and this is probably honestly going to be my favorite episode. I'm just so excited. I've been excited, and I just can't wait. So we have Dalen and Abby on the podcast. I have the pleasure of knowing them. So this is Abby and Dalen.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Dalen.
So, a quick intro, I guess. I guess just what you do, like a brief intro.
Okay,
Let's
so
get to know Abby.
Yes. So I am like job-wise.
Whatever you think is important to know.
Okay.
Worship leader.
I work at the family church. I'm the worship pastor. Just recently took over that position. So I do like all the student departments of worship at my church, but I also am doing Sunday mornings now as well.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot with church, very involved, and love it, and serve in all the student areas as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm Dalen. I am currently a senior at UL. I will be graduating in the spring, and I cannot wait. Like, I'm so excited to be
I didn't even know you were still in college.
Dude, yes.
I am too.
I am
I forgot
so
that.
ready to graduate. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so I'm a senior. I work for my dad. We own a plumbing construction company and water filtration. So if any of that, give us a call. But yeah, that's what we do. And then I help her out with everything regarding worship.
This is basically his job too. Like,
Yeah.
I got this job and we do it together. Like, yeah, I'm also a senior in college. I forgot about that part.
Good to know. Okay, so I met y'all like almost 2 years. I
That's
was talking
crazy.
to Junior and Riley. I was like, it's almost been like 2 years that I've been coming to the family church and like hanging out with y'all.
Yeah.
But anyways, I met y'all whenever I first came with Luke. I think I just met Abby. I don't know if Dalen was in college or something.
Yeah, I was
think he
probably at Nichols.
Okay, but I came and I was like, oh, Abby, like, you're so nice. And then I remember I was talking to Shayla. I was like, yeah, I don't think Abby has a boyfriend. And because I don't know why I thought we were talking about that topic. And Shayla was like, no, like, her and her boyfriend have been dating for like 7 years.
I remember you telling me
And I
that.
was like, huh? What? So basically, I kind of heard, but like, I guess like a brief recap of how y'all two came together.
Yeah.
And
How we started dating?
exactly.
The very
that's
beginning.
a fun story. You want to say?
Yeah, I could start it and you can take it.
Sweet.
So we've been like best friends since we were real little. Like, we kind of grew up together at the family church, but like he was in a grade above me, so we were just kind of best friends to the point where we even actually like helped each other. Like, if he had a crush, I would like help him. Like,
Okay, rewind.
I would help him
Dude, I wanted to date Abby
every year.
for so long. Like, I would literally be like, hey, do you like me? And she'd be like, no. I'd be like, oh my God. So like, I liked her my whole life, and she would shut me down and be like, okay, whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, even as a young kid, because I was just not interested in, like, I wasn't interested in that. And then once I was, like, he would help me with my little crushes, and I would help him with him, but he would always be like, okay, this time do you want to date? And I'm like, no. And it wasn't until our freshman year of high school, like, I was, like, starting to get to know him deeper. Like, he was already one of my best friends, but I was starting to get to know him a little bit deeper, and it was a gumbo cook-off my freshman year. We were in a lot of classes, similar classes that year, so I would see him a lot more, and like he would flirt with me every day.
Yeah, I would literally flirt
Every
with her. So we had like 2 classes together. Like, math class was one of the main ones. I remember the seat. I would flirt with her every single day, like purposely. I'd be like, Abby, you look really pretty today. She'd be like, thank you, Dalen. I'd be like,
I was so used to it.
So
Like,
we love those. I love those type of boys.
Yeah.
I love when they're open with their feelings. That's like the best kind of person.
yeah, I honestly thought like it was kind of not like it was entertaining for me, but I was like, let's see if he keeps this up. Like, I don't know.
yeah. So up until the gumbo cook-off, she has never showed me any attention. So the gumbo cook-off, it was at Lafayette Christian Academy. It was like the cheerleaders fundraiser or something, and we ended up. It was her best friend, me, and my friends weren't there. So I really had nobody to hang out with. So I hang out with Abby and her best friend, and like the whole time. Well, it's a Zydeco theme. Like, they have a Zydeco band playing and stuff, and like we end up us 3 sitting down, and we're watching like people dance and stuff together. And to my left is my principal and her husband, and then to my right's Abby and her friend. And we literally are just sitting there, and Abby stands up and she just sticks her hand out to me. And I was like,
Okay, is this a video of y'all two like?
Yes.
Yes.
Someone took a
we
video
got
of
this
it.
video. So she sticks her hand out to dance with me, and I was like, no, I don't dance. And she's like, come on. And I was like, no. I said no twice, I think. And then my principal's, her husband goes, well, you better go dance with her. And I was like, okay. So like we went go dance, and then after that, she started showing interest in me, and that's kind of what.
I was like, what high school boy's about to dance with me? Like he danced with me, and his mom ended up thinking it was cute and just pulled her phone out.
Yeah.
And now we have that video forever. And like we watch it every once in a while, and I realize my best friend's in the back. She's doing like this,
Her maid of
like
honor.
with my maid of honor for my wedding.
That's
Then
so
my
sweet.
pastor, who's my officiant of our weddings, in there pointing at us in the back.
Oh wait, who is it?
Pastor Jay.
Pastor Jay.
Okay.
And then he's standing next to David Baudouin, who's gonna be our marriage counselor, like starting like next month.
Yeah, it was fun.
So it was like a bunch of people in that video who are like playing
circle.
vital parts of our marriage, like soon to be marriage.
So
I thought that was
That
kinda
is
cool.
like
that was
the perfect romance story. Like
That was,
I love it.
Yeah.
So y'all started dating in 9th grade.
Yeah.
So how was high school dating? How was that?
High school dating.
How was that?
Um,
Like being, I guess, would y'all say y'all were mature or immature? Like,
I would say
front half, no.
front half.
half we were not mature. Back half we grew up a lot, and it was a lot more mature, I'd say.
Yeah, I said freshman year, like because we didn't even know if we were gonna date. We just liked each other, and I started liking him after that. Like I was so interested that I kind of pulled away from like my friends a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he did much. He didn't really do that, but like I kind of learned the hard way my freshman. It was really only freshman year. Like my friends started to not like him because like I pulled away from them, and like we quickly realized like okay, you have to have your own friends. Like if you're gonna date in high school, you need to have your own separate friendships. So I would say from sophomore year to senior year, it was so much more healthy. Like even people would say like, it's so good that you guys have your own friends and you learn to balance that, because we really would we wouldn't keep each other from things, and like we did have a lot of like friends who were in relationships that were not, you could tell they were like kind of controlling or whatever. We just don't want to do that. We kind of knew that there was a balance from that freshman year of being like, oh, I want my friends to love him. I want them to know that he respects them.
Yeah.
And he's not telling me to pull away from them. Like, so we learned a balance of, you got to go and hang out with other people too, especially in high school. Like, you're not in that season yet where you need to be together all the time, every day, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like it's so funny you bring that up, because I wasn't going to talk about this, but I feel like that's like, because you said your friends started not to like him because y'all were always together. And I feel like, I guess just speak on like balance, like when, especially in high school, like people are like, I have a boyfriend, like I want to hang out with him 5 days a week. Like no, your friends, I don't want to say your friends are more important, but like right now in this season of life, like yes, you're gonna hang out with your boyfriend, but that doesn't mean hang out with your boyfriend and cut all your friends off, because at the end of the day, you don't like who you're gonna have if it doesn't work out. So I guess you said kind of how to balance that, and like I guess what changed your mind, because most people, like whenever you're the girlfriend, you're like, I don't see anything wrong with me always want to hang out with my boyfriend.
Yeah. I think we learned the word boundaries really quick, and like it was kind of because of his parents and my parents are a little less like that, but like we didn't go on our first actual date outside of like hanging out with friends until he could drive. So like I would hang out at his house, but like our parents were not going to drop us off at restaurants. So like what we did to date was hang out with friends. Like that created boundaries really fast. We weren't alone together. We weren't like, I guess it made my friends start loving him because they're around him all the time. And towards the end of high school, it was just me, my 4 best friends, and Dalen at the lunch table. Like they loved him because he was loyal to all of us, and like we hung out as a group all the time. Like,
it's
it made it fun.
You don't have to have a boyfriend and like isolate yourself. Like I remember I like found, I don't say I found myself in that, but I had to like remind myself like my friends are right now, we're not married, so we're not one yet. So my friend's my boyfriend. Like yes, I'm still gonna like hang out with him, but like that's not like, most people idolize it once they get a boyfriend. It's like, this is all that matters. And then it's like your friends start to grow bitterness towards you and your boyfriend because you idolized it. It's nothing to do with the boy itself, it's just the idolization of it. So that was really good. So you said freshman and sophomore year you became mature. You Y'all are in the same grade?
Yeah, so I got help back in 7th grade.
Oh, okay.
So, like when we were growing up, I was always one grade above her. Until 7th grade, I was in the same grade as her.
So whenever you were a senior, that's when you went to college, or no?
No.
We were in high school. When we were in high school, we were in the same grade.
Yeah.
Like by that time, he was in my grade. So.
Yeah.
Okay. But I know that, so y'all graduated, grown up. Dalen, you went off to college, right?
Yes.
So how was that? Because how long did y'all do long distance for?
2 years.
2 years. 2.5 years, yeah.
How was that? Like, and I know you were a football player too, right?
Yeah.
So how?
Yeah, it was rough. It was definitely rough.
Yeah.
So like, I'd say at first it was easier because it was freshman year, so I wasn't as deep into school and stuff. But once football like really kicked off, I'm in weights at 5 in the morning, then I'm in class, then I'm in study hall, and then by the time I live with 3 of my closest people over there, so I'm always with my friends. So then it starts to be really hard to find that time to even make that phone call, and then one day would turn into 2 days, and just the distance, we'd kind of start distancing ourselves, and then we'd be like, hey, hold on, we got to reel this back in, and start communicating better. So I'd say it was like a wave. We'd have times where it was like, sometimes it was just really easy, and then sometimes it was just really hard.
Yeah.
You want to talk on it?
Yeah, our schedules were kind of opposite the first year, so we just had to figure it out, because normally it was easy for us to be in communication. But we were opposite all the time. Like when my classes were happening, his weren't. And when I was finally done with work, he was going right into something. So, and then we had to do good in school, so we had to also study. But it was good in the beginning. We were used to having our own friends, right? So when we got in college, we made our own friends. But it was difficult because we always knew each other's friends, and I didn't get to know his people. Yeah. He didn't get to know mine until he would come home, or until I would go and visit, and that wasn't often. So it was rough, but I will say it made us miss each other. To where when we did see each other, it was sweet.
It was very sweet.
And I know most long distance relationships don't last. So I guess what was that was like for y'all? No, we're not breaking up. We're gonna fight through this.
Yeah.
I mean, I was only 2 hours away, so
I thought you were in Monroe.
No, I was in Thibodeau. So
okay.
I played football at Nichols for 2.5 years, and then I'm having another injury. That'd be my 3rd surgery. So I called it quits after that. But I was home a lot on weekends. Whenever I had the opportunity to come in, best believe I was taking that drive.
Yeah.
I was home most of the time, whenever I could. But yeah. Yeah,
I'd say we both were very, 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 very involved in church, and then whenever he left, he wasn't as much. Yeah. So I was still kind of I was with my church people, and I was very fervent in prayer over our relationship, and I knew that I wanted to marry him. I knew that our relationship was always very different than other people, and I knew I'm gonna marry this guy. I just know that we're going through a rough period. Yeah. So I was in prayer over us, even when there was times where I was gosh, I don't know if I don't know if we're gonna be able to communicate or get through this or whatever, because we were just in different seasons at the time. But he knows. I would send him prayers, or I would I would literally write down sheets and give it to him and just be in prayer over it. And he really was aligned with that. He knew as well. But I think there was a pivotal moment that he was oh no, I'm marrying this girl. You could talk about that. What made you kind of know there was a difference?
Well, yeah, there was this season we went through. It was probably the roughest season we went through, and it was
while you were long distance.
Yeah, it was while we were long distance.
Yeah, it was towards the end of it, but
we pretty much broke up, didn't break up. So we're going through this really rough season, and basically I was going through a really rough season. She was probably the most rooted in prayer that she's ever been. I was not rooted in prayer at all. I was probably as far away from God as I could be ever been in my life. Yeah. And we kind of broke it off, didn't break it off, and then I ended up. You sent up some prayers, right? So she wrote on about.
Oh, you melt those off?
No, literally, she literally gave me a stack of prayers.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I had prayed that there was a week, and I knew, And I don't even know we're gonna get into this. There was a week where I knew, like, I prayed over him every day, which I was convicted because I was like, have I ever prayed over a relationship like this? Like, because I knew God was telling me pray.
Yeah.
I prayed every day like I never prayed before. God was giving me visions and dreams for him, like regardless if we were going to be together or not. I was giving him this stack of papers, like, and I think for him it kind of set it off because like
Yeah. So then, like, I remember towards the end of that rough season, somebody gave me a call, and like, it's somebody very special to me in my life, and he was kind of just like, talk me through what's going on. Like, I was not talking to anyone, especially not anyone that had, you know, values and beliefs that I believe in.
Yeah.
And he kind of like reaffirmed me. It was like, look, dude, he said, I know you're walking through this stuff. He's like, but I think you're, like, genuinely just listen to me. I think you're making a bad decision. Yeah. And he's like, but look, do what you think's best, but that's just my 2 cents. Hang up the phone, and then I finally go into prayer about it and stuff, and then all of a sudden, like, I just started, like, crying. Like, I knew, like, what I was doing was wrong. Like, I need to lock in, basically. Yeah. So then that was kind of like the pivotal moment. I was like, and like, I look at her, and then I start reading these prayers, and I was like, I want to marry this girl. So
that's literally so romantic. Like, I can just sit here. I don't write prayers for anyone. Was he your first boyfriend?
Yeah, he was my first boyfriend.
Yeah, we were like each other's first. So we did, like, we
had crushes.
Yeah.
But like, and like, they
like,
would say boyfriend.
As far as going on a date,
yeah,
like, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Abby, I know you said, like, touch on being okay, so I guess, like, for me, I would be like, how do I know, like, this is not worth fighting for, but like, you literally prayed over this man every day, and y'all, at this point, y'all were into it for like 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, y'all were in a relationship for 2 years, but it's like prioritizing, like, praying over your spouse. So I guess touch on, like, what made you come to a point to where it's like, this season is hard. I'm not gonna lean on my own understanding, but God, I'm gonna write these prayers and trust you, trust your plans. I know you're guiding me to do this, and let your will be done, not my will.
Yeah. I felt like all throughout, like, even when we were young, like, I knew, but you didn't want to say that as a young, like, girl, because so many times you heard people say, I'm gonna marry them, and they're wrong. You know, they don't end up getting married.
I was big on that, like, not saying
saying anything crazy, but so I wouldn't say it. I just would think, like, he does everything different. I love the way that, like, his values are. I love the way that he always dates me. Like, he never stopped dating me from the second that we started. Like, he always made me feel special. Like, I knew his values. I knew how much he loved the Lord, even when he went through a season where it was hard. Yeah. Because he was around literally no one that was doing the same thing. And I had been through similar things, even in college, but I just was around my people. I stayed at home. Yeah. So I knew his character, even when there was things that, like, he was struggling with. Like, I knew his character. So I knew that, like, it was just a moment, and it's because I was in prayer, like, because God was telling me, Dalen's about to be, like, the man of your dreams. You just gotta wait, like, and he still was in that moment. I'm not saying he wasn't, but it was just like he was struggling in a way I'd never seen. It's like he went through this, like, angel phase in high school, and then all of a sudden, kind of like a lot of people do in college. It's like, I'm trying to find my way. I'm trying to figure out what I want. And again, he kind of talks about this, like, he didn't know where he wanted to, like, be. Like, he didn't know what his identity was. Kind of clung to football or friends or whatever. And I knew that. Like, I could recognize that when you're in prayer and you're in tune with the Holy Spirit. You can recognize and have grace for things that you wouldn't before. And there was no, like, red flags or toxic behavior towards me. It was just things he was literally struggling with his own identity. And he never treated me like I wasn't, like, worth anything. Like, he was always wonderful to me. It was just personal things, and I knew, like, we're gonna get through this. It's something. Thank God. I even say thank God we went through that now, because we're totally different people. We learned how to lean into God. We learned how, like, we knew we wanted to marry each other after that. Like, taught us so much that I think God was intentional. He used something that the devil was trying to use for evil for good, like he normally does. And it turned into something beautiful. Like, we're totally different people.
So how was Dalen? How was being in college, not being surrounded by godly people, because Abby's in college and she has all her people. She has her church, home, she has everybody.
Yeah.
You're there. How was that?
It was definitely different because I came from a place, like I was in the same church my whole life. Literally since I was born up until I'm now 18 years old moving off to college, I was so rooted in church, at the family church, that when I went to Nichols, it was definitely a culture. It was like a culture shift. So like it was hard for me. It's like they had Christian groups, but it was hard for me to get into because it just wasn't what like I was looking for, kind of. And like most colleges that have, like, I played football with it, they have like an FCA, which is like Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Yeah.
And like I have friends at other colleges and they love it because like you find like-minded people, like athletes, like we're pretty much on the same level, same page. But I really struggled with finding that over there because they didn't have that. So finding the like-minded people with beliefs and like your faith, it was very hard for me to do, almost to the point where I gave up. I just started coasting. Yeah. And like I had my two best friends. I loved them to death. They were my people. But we wouldn't always be put in the right situations and stuff, and we'd be led different directions. So you're a college football player, we should be doing this. Yeah. Like Saturday night, come on, let's go. Yeah. And like, you know, after 2 no's, 3 no's, that 4th, 5th time people asking you, like, all right, let's just go see what it's about.
Like, well, especially when you're like not surrounded by
exactly. And when you're not surrounded by your people, it's easy. Like it's easy when you have your people. Yeah. Like we could go make fun out of nothing. Yeah. That doesn't have to be, you know, involve sinning and whatever. But I say it is so important to find your people. If you don't find your people, look harder. Yeah. Like they are out there. I promise you. Like I guarantee you there was more Christians out there on that campus for me that I could have been lifelong friends with, but I just didn't push a little bit harder to find them. Yeah. And that's kind of where I was at. Yeah. So I really do, looking back, just wish I would have pushed harder to find those friends.
And that's funny you say that, because most people think like they can hang out with people and it not change them. Like you didn't go to college thinking like I'm gonna change. Like, you know, you went to college thinking like, no, I'm still gonna like be secure in my relationship with God. And so many people, they think they can hang out with people who are the opposite of their beliefs and be the same person, but in reality, like that starts to change you know, weaken your faith. So I guess what has been the importance of your godly community, Abby? Like what role did that play while he was in college and while you were going through that hard season?
Yeah, I was finally taught in college what mentorship looked like. Yeah. Because we grew up in church and grew up kind of like in church through school too. But we were never like, I feel like it was never emphasized that you should probably have someone, at least one person, that you're always talking to, that you trust, and are maybe more like older than you and more experienced than you in their spiritual life and their relationship with the Lord. Yeah. And I don't know why. Maybe it was emphasized, but I never like experienced it. Yeah. Well, I was a part of Chi Alpha, and I loved Chi Alpha at UL, and I still do, but I just am not involved as much anymore. But I had a mentor. I had 2. One was named Allie, one was named Princess, and my first one was Allie Deschatel.
She did that,
and she was a vital part of me and Dalen's relationship. Like she, you know, she called things out in me at like that I was never called out before like that, and I was never feeling very comfortable to tell anyone like certain things, and I felt so comfortable with her, but also felt like uncomfortable in sin. Yeah. Like, and that's what I needed at the time, was like someone who's gonna tell me the truth, but also I felt comfortable to tell them the truth. Like, and so I experienced that, and when I knew how good that was, I was like, Dalen, you need a mentor, because she wasn't finding that there, and he found that when he came home, but like, it was just, that changed everything for me, because I knew I was being mentored in these areas. I was giving him grace where I couldn't without telling someone. Yeah. And like, I remember like, there was this one specific day that like, I was in a room with someone, and they were saying, you can't get over some things without telling someone. Like thinking that you can go through something hard without opening your mouth to a mentor, opening your mouth to someone. There's some things you have to tell someone to get over with it. Yeah. And that was what it was for me. It was like, oh, boom, I'm just gonna open up. I'm just gonna be vulnerable. Like, and that changed my life, being vulnerable with people. Yeah. So it was just a good community.
That's so good, because and it's good, like if you're gonna ask somebody for like their opinion, their advice, you have to be open to correction. And that's so good that like you found like you're like, okay, she's like, she calls this out and you don't automatically get offended by it. You're like, okay, let me go change this about my relationship. And like the importance of having friends who don't just agree with everything you do, because I mean, I know I've had those friends and I'm like, God, like, no, like surround me with people who call me out on my sin. Like, don't just let me be the same. Like, you see I'm doing this wrong, you're like, that's fine, okay, like, no, that's not right. And so the importance of having someone that calls you out. And then Dalen, back to you. This, I'm like going back and forth, but I just thought about it. Okay, so let's talk about those letters Abby wrote. Okay, because I feel like, I don't know, like, I feel like, how did you know, like, she was the one, I guess would be my question. And because most men, like, the woman can think they're the one, but what made you think, like, you were the one?
Yeah, no, looking back, it was something out of the ordinary. Like, I mean, maybe not, but being that through that hardship we went through, it was a horrible time, that when what I was doing wasn't reflecting God and like where I was struggling. But while I was doing that, she was in her room praising, worshiping, and writing these letters, and like it just hit home in a different way, because like when I was reading them, I was like, oh my goodness, like this girl is like praying for me, and like just interceding for me, and it was just an emotional feeling, because like just looking at it, I was like, oh my goodness. And then like that's when I was like, this is my wife. Like just reading all of them. And like I didn't want to read those letters at first. Like she gave me those letters and like I did not read them. It took me like a couple of days to read them, just because of like where I was. But like once I read it, I was like, oh my goodness, like this girl is amazing.
And so Abby, I guess my question would be like, for like the person that's like, I guess like I'm in a relationship, and how do I know like it's worth fighting for? Like, how did you know like I need to write these letters to him? Like, how did you know he's weak, right? Because you know some people are there in a relationship and it's like, like God says like the man is the head of the household, okay? So that doesn't necessarily mean like he's always going to be strong. When you're weak, he's strong. Whenever he's weak, you're strong. So I guess, how did you know like he's weak right now? This, like, he's not going to stay here. Like, I need to be the one he can depend on, would be my question.
I think I was very like in those seasons in tune with the Holy Spirit, and it's like as I prayed and worshiped, like he gave me visions, he gave me, and it was never like, you're gonna be with Dalen. Because like it was like, because I was genuinely okay, and if that wasn't gonna be the case, if it would have, but, and I was comfortable in myself, but I knew I loved him, and I knew that God was actually using that to shape him into like the wonderful man of God that he is, and really was at the time. It was just a season, and so he was showing me like the way that me and Dalen would lead people to Christ later, and like I saw how we would serve in our church together, and how we would do, and not even knowing that we would be worship pastors together, but like he showed me that he's going to be amazing. Just let him get through this. Like, and I know that's really controversial with sometimes. And again, I was okay either way. Like, I was comfortable with the Lord, but I knew like we would lead together. If Dalen, trusted in God and he was fervent, like we would be a power couple. I knew that, but I was just letting it fall into God's hands and praying. All you can do is pray. You can only control yourself. You can't control the person you're with, no matter how much you think you try. And if you try to be controlling, you're probably going to ruin it. So it's like, all I could do is control what I did and myself. And that was prayer. The answer was prayer for me.
And I guess that just shows like the importance of obedience, because it's like, it's not like you're like, God, I'm gonna do this so me and Dalen can be together. You're like, I'm gonna do this because you told me to do this, whether it ends up in us being together or not. Like, whatever happens. So y'all, 5 years this has been.
That was it was around the 5 years.
That was about 2 years ago from now.
Okay, so Dalen, you come back from college. Okay, what happens?
Well, I came back from college. Now I am.
So much happened.
Yeah, a lot happened. But I'm now working with my family, and then I'm at UL now, trying to find my place in UL. But like, I was actually genuinely very happy, because like I got to go back to our church and stuff, and like I got closer.
So you got hurt, you said?
Yeah, so I got hurt at Nichols. Tried to fight through the injury. Got to the point where it was actually, I remember, more than halfway through the summer, my coaches are calling me and stuff, asking me when I'm coming back. Like, it's time to start training and stuff. And I just felt uneasy about it. Like, I was like, man, I don't know if I want to go back. Like, and like that broke my heart because like me not going back means I'm done with football. I mean, I could obviously go try to play at UL or go somewhere else, but like I think deep down I just wanted to be home, like where Abby was, where my family was, and so I ended up making the phone call. I remember where I was in the office at our shop, and it was after a work day, and I called our running back coach, Coach Ty, and like I ended up I was talking, I was like, Coach Ty, I don't think I can do this anymore. And dude, like right when I said it, like I started crying, and he was like, just reaffirmed me, he was like, look dude, like we appreciate you so much, blah blah. And fast forward from that, I'd say about 4 months later, crazy opportunity happens. I buy my first house.
I know, that is so that's so good,
it's crazy. So like 3 minutes away, not even 3 minutes away from UL, next door to UL.
Wow.
Like it'll be a great rental property for me one day, and like just the way things turned out was awesome. So now that I have the house, I always said like I want to be okay to be able to propose and get married.
And that was gonna be my next question, because it's like most people, they're dating for 2 years and it's like, okay, when are we gonna get married now? And so like I was gonna say like how did you know like this is the timing that the Lord says we're gonna get married? Because y'all were dating for 7 years. That's a long time to be dating, but y'all were also dating throughout high school.
It adds to the time.
And so it was, you wanted to wait till you were ready.
So for me, I was very big on, and my parents were big on, like, I need to be on my own before I feel like I am ready. Like, I'd be able to support her. Like, I need to feel financially okay. I need to be man enough to start a family. And that's kind of where I was. I feel like I was, own my own house. I'm paying my own bills. I'm on my own. And, like, I remember the day I literally walked in our office. My mom works for our company, too. My mom was in her office, and I sat down on the couch in her office, and I was like, Mom, I think I'm ready to propose to Abby. And like I remember she like stopped and she's like what? And like we kind of just had a talk, and she was like, yeah, okay, like let's start ring shopping. Or it's like it's just like. And I told my dad, and like me and my dad had a sit down lunch one day, and he kind of just spoke into my life and like basically like prepared me, just gave me some advice on what I'm about to be stepping into, and then proposed, and now we're 4 months away from our wedding.
That's so sweet. So most people like you sat like, and how long would you say like you waited until how long did you know before you proposed, I guess? So how long? So I knew after this letter, I was like, all right, I want to propose to this girl, but I just can't right now.
I knew it was coming.
I know. So, I feel like Abby always told us. I think they.
I mean, with 7 years, like you gotta know. All right, we're getting close. You own the house now.
Especially after you go. Sorry, not to interrupt, but after you go through something like that.
Yeah, and that's how hard, and you endure it.
Yeah. So I will say, like before. After we went through that, and I saw him like just start trusting in God, praying over us, like he started to pursue like a man. Like he always pursued me, and I always did feel that way. But like he started pursuing me, like I knew he was like getting ready to like pursue me for marriage. Like not just like we're dating and we're having the best time ever. Like I could tell. Like he bought a house. We wouldn't talk about, like, I would try to talk about it, but like he was literally in the process of getting me a ring, and I had no clue, so he couldn't tell me anything. So it wasn't long at all. Like it was like a year, I think. It was a year after he moved home. So like the whole time he was kind of in the process of it.
So I guess my question for you, Dalen, would be like, what was your shift? Because it's like you're in the word. Did you have like an encounter with God? Like,
dude, no. I mean, I guess I'd say it was a prompt from God, but like. I remember one day I'm just kind of, looking at my finances and stuff, and like it literally just like hit me, like out of nowhere. It was like, I could propose to Abby right now. And like that one thought, like when I say that thought hit the ground and started running, like I was like, oh my God, like I can really propose to Abby right now. Yeah. And then like I started to get excited, and like it was just full of like ideas, and like I really felt like it was God giving me a hug, saying, all right, Dalen, it's time, you're ready. Yeah. Let's step into this next season. And like it was just exciting. Like literally never had a single doubt, like this wasn't it, like everything just felt right, like, and it was all covered by prayer too.
So what would be a piece of advice, okay, for a man that's like, I want to marry this girl, because I feel like so many people are in a rush, and y'all weren't in a rush. Like, of course y'all desire to get married, everybody desire to be married, but so many people are like in a rush to get to like the promise. They don't want to go through like the process, because Sadie Robertson always says the process to the promised land is essential, and like this process was so essential in y'all's relationship, because if y'all wouldn't have went through like that valley, then you wouldn't have like, y'all wouldn't have grown closer. You wouldn't have seen like, I need God like to support this woman. So what would be your piece of advice for the man that's like, how do I, like, what is the shift? Because most people are in the valley right now. Most men, I shall say, I feel like there's like a hit on men of God in our generation. Like they're just turning to the world, like they're just sulking in their sin. So what would be a piece of advice for the man that's like, I desire to do those things, but right now I don't know how to get back up?
Yeah, I would definitely say grow in your own faith. Yeah. Like if you don't grow in your own faith, like you cannot maintain this relationship that you're supposed to be the man and lead the house of without growing yourself on the side. And then to backtrack even more, you're not one until you're married. Yeah. So like like the devotions and stuff together, like no, like focus on yourself. Like I'm gonna focus on myself. She's gonna focus on herself. Yeah. And like we'll have Devo time together, but we're never doing Devo together. Like I'm focusing on myself, and I'm growing myself spiritually, and I'm feeding myself to where when it comes time for me to be able to, you know, lead another person, I'm full and I'm ready. Yeah. But like, that's kind of
that's so good. And like I feel like so many people, it's like we're dating, so it's like her relationship with God is my relationship with God. Yeah. Until you go through that valley, and it's like, do I really have a relationship with God? And that's so good that like, like, and then people, I think it's good to do devotionals together, but I don't think it's good to like combine your like, correct. Like yes, pray for one another, but you know what I mean. Yeah. Like don't sit here and let's do our devotion, like let's spend time with God together. Like no, my time with God is my time with God. Your time with God is your time with God. Like if we want to read a book, okay, whatever. But you know, so many people, it's like they're living off each other's faith, and when the valley comes, it's like, God, like where are you? And it's like, do I know who God is?
Yeah. We have great leaders in our life, like great examples. Like when we knew we were getting married, like we have a lot of people around us who do it well. Like Reagan and Wendy are a big one, and we have Haley and Brennan, and like we got to see kind of every like season by us. And Reagan and Wendy, that's something they would say like, we love each other, we love to pray together, but when it comes to worshiping, we separate like just so we can have our own moments, because you can get dependent on that person to have the moment for you, pray for you, whatever. And they don't say it in these words, but I very much like, I agree with that, because it's built us up individually. Yeah. That way, like, and he still prays over me, and we do pray together, and we do that, but we're our own, like, God, if God needs to tell me something, like, I will hear it. I don't need him to hear it for me, but sometimes he'll tell me things that I can share with him. Exactly. And I love that. Yeah. And I love when he shares with me, but I don't need him to hear it in order for me to know. Exactly. Like, that, unless that's how God wanted to say, you know, like,
it's not like you're dependent on him for your faith. Yeah. Like, I need to hear a word from Dalen to hear from God.
Yeah. And that makes us, like, as a unit better in the long run, because there is a difference, we talk about this all the time, between dating and engaged. Like, it's like everything was a very flip switch for us. Like, the moment we got engaged, it felt really different.
Yeah, like, it really did.
So talk about that switch. What's the switch?
So this is what I was excited to turn off. I mean, we love talking about all of that. That's more of the dating season. Yeah. I find his family did such a good job, and like, I don't know who's watching this, but his family did such a good job of not being like your family, you're my daughter, you're my, until we were engaged.
Yeah.
So yes, I felt like a Gondran long ago, but I wasn't. And they didn't say that, and until I was engaged and I had this ring on my finger.
Yeah.
And y'all, it made everything so special. Like, I just remember being geeked out because they'd be like, "You're a Gondran, you're my daughter." Like, and it was such a difference.
Yeah.
Like, even in us preparing, and we felt like butterflies all over again.
Yeah.
Like, and you just feel that, but it didn't go away. Like, I like that. I don't like when people say like, you wait long to get married, because we're waiting a year. We got engaged last March. We're getting married this March.
Oh my gosh,
It's been a year.
So crazy.
It's been a year, and it's also because we're in college, and so we didn't want to also like overwhelm ourselves. But I'm getting sidetracked. There was a clear difference because people in our life had boundaries, and they waited until we were engaged to be like, okay, let's talk about this, you know. And it was so cool. Like, it was just, we loved it. Like, we soaked all that up because it was like, okay, now we're preparing for marriage. Like, we're doing this God's way. Like, we want to like figure out what He wants for us in our marriage, and we want to be able to talk about that now. Like, you're gonna be my husband, you're gonna be my wife. Let's figure out how we want to do this and prepare for it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So, like, what's like the difference? What changes have y'all made from dating to being engaged now, I guess?
I think. Do you have anything specific?
We spend a lot more time together now, I'd say.
Yeah, I do want to know, how much time do y'all normally spend together?
So
while y'all were dating?
That's probably one of the biggest things. Like, I think after we got engaged, like, also it was when he came home, so it's like, now I get to spend time with him.
Yeah.
And we had so much stuff going on before we were engaged. We almost never got to see each other. Like, we were so busy, and like, then we're like, okay, let's figure out what days in the week work for us so we can have time to plan a wedding, time to literally just talk about what we're going through, like what we're, and do this beforehand, obviously, because that can, but I feel like we spend we see each other every day, but we try to have intentional times during the week where we're like, let's talk about the wedding, let's talk about something that's important to each other, like.
And one thing too, though, is now that we're stepped into this engagement, like this engaged season, we're still not married. Like, that's another big thing too, because people get so excited, like, oh my God, we're engaged. Like you still have one more step. Like, so like another thing I do like to emphasize on is still boundaries in engagement. Like, she leaves my house by 9:30, like to get her home by 10.
Our parents play a huge part in our boundaries. Like,
that is so good though. I was gonna say, I feel like most people, even while they're dating, like, I don't want to go back to dating, but it's like, I have friends who have sleepovers with their boyfriends. I'm like, huh? Y'all are married yet? But it's like, and then it's like, we're like, if you get engaged, it's like, we're technically married. And it's like, in the Bible, I remember reading, like, God he doesn't even talk about dating. There's singleness and then there's marriage. So therefore, he sees the dating and engaged season as the single season. So therefore, you're still like, you're not one yet. You're still single. I mean, you're engaged, but and I feel like people forget, like, I'm engaged, I still need boundaries. And so I guess, can you talk about the importance of boundaries?
So I think that is a huge, and like, warning for people who are about to get engaged, that is a huge temptation. Like, okay, this is gonna be like my person, and you're thinking about that, but like, again, our parents played a huge role in that, because it's like, I can't, like, I have to go home at a certain time, and not even because of that, but it just ended up helping us out, like, ended up helping us set those kind of things. Agree in the beginning, like, talk about it, what you're gonna do, and agree on it, like, because I know a lot of people, like, one person wants to not do this and not do that, and the other person, they're just not so for that, and if one person is not agreeing with the other, it's easier to pull somebody down than it is to lift somebody up. So it's just agree on your boundaries, set them in place, and have them down packed. You're not going to be perfect. Let me just speak for us. You're not going to be perfect, but striving for that is okay. Like, striving for, striving for perfection is okay. Like, you're not going to be, and that's okay. Have grace, but I think just agreeing with each other is the biggest thing.
And then, like, y'all said, like, y'all hang out, like, y'all see each other every day, but then y'all make time to plan y'all's wedding. Y'all make time to check on each other. And I guess like what's the importance, like I guess the importance of like having those conversations, like Abby, like I'm going through a hard time right now, or like Dalen, like I'm like what difference has that made? Because most people, they just coast through relationships and it's like, I'm just gonna worry about myself, I'm just gonna focus on me because I'm dealing with stuff right now. I'm not gonna check on my partner even in dating. So I guess what importance has that made, like we're gonna put this in the week to check on each other? Because I've never seen that, and I feel like that's so smart. Why wouldn't you have a day to hang out, have a day to be intentional, you know?
I think it's less of like a time, because that's a lot of pressure. It's less of like a time or a day, but we start feeling towards each other when we know we haven't checked on each other. Like we can feel it. Like we'll be like
snappy.
It's more snappy, or like more like just, I don't feel like you checked on me, you know. And so I feel like you have something.
No, keep going.
And so I feel like instead of setting like a time or like a day, we just be intentional. Like dates, I can't say this enough. Dates are a huge thing. Dalen is so
that's
like,
what I was gonna talk about.
Yes, Dalen is so good at this, and he learned it. He learned it from his parents, I think, and a lot of it has to do with our parents. I'll say that a lot, but dating and like showing that person, I want to make time for you and I'm gonna set this aside is so important.
And I want Dalen basically to talk about the importance of dating, because it's like, I got the girl, so I don't have to do anything else. We're just gonna hang out every week. Like the importance of, because in marriage you don't just get married and that's it. You got to keep dating each other. So
when I moved back from Nichols, it really stemmed from like we wanted that time with each other, so we started having weekly dates. Like, and that was when I had, you know, no house, no bills, so like I was able, we literally go on a date every single week, and we'd make it fun. Like,
I think it was Mondays.
Like, it was Monday nights. So like we and we kind of like themed. So like one night we're like, hey, let's go boot shopping, get these boots, and then we're gonna go to Texas Roadhouse. Like just dates, like just like
and
that.
Like I guess what's the difference between like hanging out and like dating?
I think when we hang out, it just kind of is thrown together. We're just like, hey, I'm free, you're free.
Okay.
Dalen does a lot of like, hey, are you free on this night? I'm gonna take you out. We're gonna go do this.
Okay.
Or like sometimes he won't tell me what we're doing, but he plans something like it's specific.
And like planning something as a man for your lady like goes the longest way. Like it means the world to a girl for you to.
Yes,
you know.
It does.
But it means the world for a girl. Like if you go out and you're like, hey, I have dinner planned at this time, and after dinner we're gonna go do this X, Y, and Z. Like she's like, what? And like it just means the world. So like it's a way different than just hanging out. Because if you say, hey, come over, we're gonna watch a movie on my couch and eat popcorn. Okay, it's just another night. But like if you start lining stuff, it makes things exciting. It brings it to another level. It's just fun. Like it's fun to date. Like go have fun. Go do stuff. It's not fun to just sit around and do nothing. And like I don't know. I grew up very.
I love like can your dad raise all these men? Because I just feel like, because I'm like, God, am I asking for too much? Like I always say that. I'm like, is this how it's supposed to be? Like, do people just hang out? Like, do we do dates like once a month? Like, I don't know. But then it's like God's like, don't settle for less than my best for you. And it's like you want someone, because when you're married, like, what's gonna happen when it's like every day you just hang out? Like no, like you want to feel honored, you want to feel chosen, and so the important, like that is so important.
We even have like a no phone rule. Like when we go on dates and like we'll pick up our phone and we'll be like, oh, and we'll put it to the side and we'll be like, nope, because like you won't do that on a normal night where you're just hanging out. Like you're not just gonna put your phone away. We're both on our phones a lot, showing each other videos. It's a little bit less intentional. I still love those nights, but because he makes time for us to do like intentional nights, I like those nights more. Then like as a girl, you're gonna get super complacent when you just have nights like that where it's just like, oh la la la, and they're not being intentional like with and other things. Then you're gonna start being upset about those moments because you don't feel like you're getting that time. When you set that aside, you just enjoy all the time. Like you're able to enjoy everything. And I feel like a true man, like the man God has for you, is gonna do those things. Like I guess this would be for that person. Like do not settle. Like I always say, don't settle for God's best. But like you want someone who's constantly pursuing you. Like if they aren't pursuing you right now,
then they won't.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
not like you learn that. You
Yeah,
know?
and I tell Abby, I'm like, it's never been hard to love her.
Yeah.
Like, it's never been hard to love you.
Yeah.
Like,
Aw.
no matter no matter what season of life we're in, I can genuinely say like I love you all my heart. Like
Yeah.
like it was never hard.
Yeah.
So it makes it fun. Like
Yeah.
to be intentional is fun. And
Yeah.
fellas, let me say one thing. I learned this from my grandpa. he tells me all the time. He said a lady can never have enough jewelry.
What?
Okay, wait, no, just a little sidebar. And the biggest thing is flowers, bro. Like,
Amen.
if you come home with flowers and you put them in the kitchen, why you clapping? You got fresh flowers, right? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm agreeing.
My bad. But yeah. Anyway, I don't know. That's a side.
Yeah, because
but
it's like the thought that counts.
that's the dating. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
It's not like you just arrive here. Like we're
Yeah.
constantly growing.
Yeah.
So this episode has been so great. It's probably one of my favorites. I love relationships. Especially dating God's way, and it's like God has the best for you.
Absolutely.
Like you're just such a great man, Dalen. I wish you could just tell every man in the world to be a man of God.
I'm far from
Like,
perfect video.
But
Yeah.
I swear, almost perfect. But it's like to know, like I guess like I wish everyone just grew up that way because the generation we're in now is like girls are settling for less than God's best and guys are becoming comfortable
Yeah.
and it's like God, like we're losing. Like God says, find someone who loves the bride as much as I love the church. And it's like men don't do that. Like I don't want to say all men, but it's hard to find that nowadays. And so to wrap it up, I guess. What would be like one piece of advice to leave everyone with?
I like the piece of advice that's and this is funny, take advice from people that you want to be like.
Yeah.
So don't go and listen to a married couple telling you, oh, the honeymoon phase is gonna end, or you're not gonna like spending time with each other forever. You're not. You're not gonna always like that. We're very careful who we listen to. Like we are like. I'm not listening to someone that I don't want to be like. I'm not gonna take marriage advice from you. They're gonna tell you, y'all need to hang out all the time.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to do. You're gonna get bored of that. And like, while I agree, like have balance. I think it's very cool to like listen to people that you admire their relationship and you want to be that way and you want to be that. I don't know. You want to be like. Listening to people they're your role models.
Like,
Yeah. Do you have something specific?
No, that was pretty much.
Yeah, I feel like that's so good, and I literally can relate to that because it's like sometimes we take advice from the wrong people, and it's like your friend will be like, Taya, like I don't think like. If it's like, a friend, like, that's following after God's own heart, okay, but we listen to those people that are nowhere near God, and it's like, like, I don't want to be anything like you, but you're giving me advice. Like, thanks, but no.
Yeah.
And so that's so good, taking advice from people you aspire to be like. And so thank you guys so much for coming on the Pruning Podcast. This was such a great episode, and I literally cannot wait for this to release.
Yes, this was so fun.
It was fun. I was nervous, but it was.
Y'all did amazing. Like I couldn't even tell. Like everybody's like, I'm so nervous, but I literally can't tell.
Well, it's like you're just having a conversation with your friends. So
Literally.
that was so easy.
Literally. Okay. So I'm gonna have to have y'all back in 2025.
Absolutely.
When we're married.
When y'all are married, of course. Y'all are like nobody's like engaged. Like this is I don't know. I'm just like engaged. Abby and Dalen. I love Abby and Dalen. Abby and Dalen.
Thank you.
So thank you guys for watching and thank y'all, and I just pray y'all enjoy this episode, and yeah, bye guys.